Hey, it's Mark Lanier with your video thought for the day. All right, this week I'm trying to address some of the emails I've gotten where people have made suggestions of what to do for a video thought for the day. And so yesterday I talked about Julia Roberts off of an email from my buddy Phil. If you missed that, you can get it. By the way, maybe she's not a real Roberts, but that's yesterday's. Today, I want to talk about an email my buddy Skip sent me. And it was one of these things that gets forwarded to everybody on the internet that talks about the origin of famous phrases. And so it talks about being dressed to the nines. It talks about a number of different, get off your high horse, these types of phrases. I thought, okay, well, he wanted me to do a video thought for the day or thought it might be useful. There's one that really struck me because of a passage that I've been reading in the Bible. And I'll get to that in a minute. But let me start by telling you the phrase. The phrase was mad as a hatter. And the synopsis that went with the picture was that this phrase came from hat makers, hatters, who had to work with mercury, and the mercury poisoning that they would often get would drive them insane. That's the way it was put in the internet. And so I thought, well, first thing we got to do is research this to find out if it's true or not, because a lot of things you get on the internet aren't always true. So I go back and I start doing research. Well, I want to find someplace authoritative. Lo and behold, I find NIOSH, N-I-O-S-H. That's the program under our CDC, the US government, that deals with safety at work. And so that's pretty authoritative. And sure enough, they have this long explanation about this, that in the 17 and 1800s, there were hat manufacturers who used mercury so much that their exposure to mercury caused them to start slurring their speech, to diminish their ability to think, to make them anxiety driven. It affected them. And hence, the expression mad as a hatter came about. Now, a lot of people know this expression mainly from, well, I guess the expression itself, but we often think of Alice in Wonderland. Lewis Carroll published the first one of those, I think, in 1865. The year the Civil War ended is how I remember that. And in that book, he references the Hatter, but he never calls him the Mad Hatter. Instead, he just calls him the Hatter. But the Cheshire Cat, I think, says that he was mad. I got that right. Anyway, what on earth triggered in my brain to make this a video thought for the day? Well, Amos, in the book of Amos in the Old Testament, talks about the poison that is injustice. And it's not only Amos who talks about poison, but you'll find over and over in the Bible, Old and New Testaments, references to attitudes and thoughts that are poisonous. And those poisonous attitudes and thoughts do not leave us unaffected. All of us will show the results, the symptoms of taking in those poisons. So if you take in injustice, if you take in anger, if you take in bitterness, that's another one the Bible talks about. If you take in these things, they're toxic to you and me. This poison affects who we are. It may not slur our speech. It may not make us agitated. Actually, a lot of them will. But it will definitely affect us. No one's immune to these poisons. So my video thought for the day is pretty simple today. I don't want you to be mad as a hatter. And I'm not simply talking about mercury poisoning. I'm talking about be careful what you expose yourself to. Don't bring into your heart and your mind the negativity, the bitterness, the anger, injustice, unfairness, selfishness. Don't bring into your life these poisons because they'll alter who you are, and it's always for the worst. More emails tomorrow, but that's your video thought for today.